How loud is your home really? Well, today we're going to use this sound level device or decibel meter to measure common household appliances, including a blender, a vacuum cleaner, a hair dryer, a quiet room, a room where you're speaking. We're going to test this, and not only that, I'm going to show you everything you need to know about this, how to use every single function, but we're also going to compare it to an app that you can just download to your tablet or your smart device. So let's see which one is more accurate and put this to the test. This is the TOPTES TS-501B model that we're looking at today. I'm going to show you every single feature, how this operates, how to put it together, and explain one limitation that you need to know about before buying this. By the way, if you'd like to grab one of these, there is a link in the description below. First, let's take a close-up look at the device itself. What you get in the package is the device, you get included batteries, and you get a really cool carrying case. The meter is lightweight and it's got a good textured grip on the side, so it's easy to use. It comes with a protective top and this little wind protector at the top. If you pull that off, you can see the microphone inside. I have noticed a couple times where I put this on and when I took it off, if I squeeze wrong, it actually takes that with it. So if you find this missing, make sure you look inside of the cap. You might just find it. The moment you turn this on, it starts measuring the sound around you immediately. If you have trouble seeing the screen, if you hold this button here, long press, and it will give you a nice little backlight. This meter has a range from 30 to 130 decibels. If you are in an environment where the sound drops below that, rather than giving you a lower number, it'll simply say UL. I created this chart so that we can test a whole bunch of different environments against this device and also against the app. The first test we're going to do is in a normal, quiet environment. Here's what kind of reading you get in a completely quiet room. So there might be things running in the house like electronics, there might be air conditioning, stuff like that, but other than that, there's nothing right now. So I'll show you what kind of a reading that gives you for that. So I will be totally quiet for a moment. We're just going to look, and then I'm also going to hold up the app so we can compare. Which is so weird because it should be 0 in my mind, but there are obviously sounds that I cannot hear. I also, and now let me show you this on the app, and then I'm going to switch the reading from A to B just so we can see the difference. So about 35, 36, very similar. Now on this, I'm going to switch to the B mode, which of course you do by holding down the CF, so the Celsius or Fahrenheit button, you just long press it and switches to the C mode. Apparently there are low level frequencies happening in this room that I can't hear, but this device can. Next, I'm just gonna talk at a normal, regular tempo and volume like I am right now. And I'm going to, on the device, I'm going to hit max so we can get the max decibels as I'm speaking normally like I would with a regular conversation. So I'll do that on the app as well. We'll do it with this first. So let's hit max. And then I will keep talking. Now it's on max. And so the highest decibel, of course, I'm pretty close to the microphone right now. If I pivot, you can see about 1.5 feet, maybe something like that. And the max we get to is, well, 80. If we test the same thing on the app, I'm going to keep it about the same distance from my mouth, hit play, and we'll start talking. It's hard for me to see. I'm trying to get rid of that glare for you so you can see it. And our max, you can see where it holds the max is 82, so very similar. Before we start testing anything that's louder than a quiet environment, let me show you all the functions of how this works, because changing the settings can give you a dramatically different result. By default, when you turn this on, it is in the A weighted mode, that's the letter A right there, and is on fast. So fast simply means that you're going to get your readings very, very quickly. Sometimes I prefer to put it on slow so that it's easier to track, because when the numbers are constantly changing, my eyes can't always keep up. To change that setting, you simply hit the FS from fast to slow, and you'll see that go over to slow. And you'll see the numbers now change at a much different pace. So if I do that one more time, now you can see they're changing super fast. The A mode is also going to turn on automatically. Now this picks up sounds that humans can pick up. So anything outside of that, it is not going to register. If you want to pick up lower frequency sounds, sounds that perhaps humans wouldn't pick up, you can switch that mode from A to C. To do that, you're simply going to hit where the C and F is right here. You hold that down and you will see that switches to the C mode. If you don't long press these buttons, it simply changes from Celsius to Fahrenheit, because this will read the temperature in the room as well. Now for our real test, what I want to do is test several items around the house, and to make sure that everything is fair between the app that we're going to use, and this is just a free app that I downloaded, and you can see it right there. I think it's called Decibel X. We're going to use this, and to make sure that everything is even, I have a measuring stick and I've taped off exactly 3 feet. So I'm going to have both of these side by side, and the device will always be 3 feet away during each one of these tests. The reason we set it for the exact same distance is because the closer you move these meters to whatever's making the noise, the more decibels it's going to create. So if my hand was making noise right now, as I move this further and further away, the decibels will decrease. So we're going to keep it at exactly 3 feet for each one of these experiments. We're also going to point the microphone from the smart pad and from the meter towards whatever's making the sound. Because you also notice if I turn this on and I'm talking towards the microphone, it'll give a certain reading. But if I happen to rotate this away, then the reading is going to change because it's not picking up as much from the microphone. So for our test, we'll always have the microphones facing towards the devices. One of the features that we're definitely going to be using is the max and minimum feature. And what that allows us to do is if you hit the max button, you're going to see the word max appear up there. Now what that'll do is whatever the loudest sound this records, that number will stay on the screen until another number gets higher than that. So if I make a louder noise, you'll see it went up and it held that position. If you put it on minimum, it's going to show you only the minimum, the lowest level that it recorded. But for our experiments, I'm not going to use that. We're only going to use the max level. If you hit the max level and you want to get out of it and turn that off, all you have to do is long press and it'll turn off completely. The app that we're using has a similar feature. So if I hit play and it's now recording, but if you look over here on the right-hand corner, it is holding the loudest and the minimum at the same time. So if I increase this, you'll see that goes up and it'll hold that position so that you know what the loudest point was during the recording. Now, if you're using this device, for example, to record loud neighbors or something like that, you can use that feature for that. So you hit max minimum, it'll tell you the loudest that they were at some point in time or how loud their music got. Now, the problem with that is there's a timer on this. So if you see that little clock right there, this thing's going to automatically turn off after 10 minutes. So if you want to not have that feature on, so if you want to have this recording for a longer period of time, as long as the batteries will allow, the way that you do that is you're going to hit this button down here, which is the hold button. You can also use the hold button, by the way, to hold a number. When it hits a certain number, it'll hold that number. That's also the backlight. You just long press it. Anyway, if you press this down while you hit the power button, now you'll see there is no clock up there anymore, so this will not automatically shut off. So that's an important feature if you want to do a longer recording. Bear in mind that these tests don't tell us if either one of these is more accurate than the other, but what it does tell us is that if they are similar, that it's a pretty good bet that we're on the right path. Along with the extra temperature feature up here, there is also a humidity feature, which is nice to have as well. Can you use this outdoors? Yes, of course you can. Just bear in mind that outside sources such as airplanes flying over or even wind or cars driving by can give you a significantly different reading rather than if you were inside where you have a controlled environment. Also, this thing is not weatherproof or waterproof, so you do not want to get it wet. One really cool feature is if you have a home theater in your house and you want to have a certain spot where you're going to sit and you want to measure each speaker to see how loud each one is, you want to get maybe a decibel that matches so that you're getting an even sound, this thing would be perfect for that. One very important limitation that this thing has is that if you're using this to record neighbors, like loud neighbors, for example, this does not connect to your phone. There's no app that goes with this, and it doesn't record a log of the entire night or in the entire day. It only can give you that max peak level, and This is not something that I would take into court and say, look, I got a max reading level, because you can't prove how you did that or where you did that. For something like that, you'd probably want a professional noise dosimeter or a certified compliance system, something that can have an entire recording and show actual proof that the recording took place at this certain time, etc. And this brings us to the fun part. We're going to start testing loud noises. This first one, we're just going to test a hand clap very near and see how they sound. So we got 73.6 and 102 on the app, which that's pretty drastic. We'll try that again. We got a 90 and a 101. Also, that's a lot. A big difference there. 10 decibels. Next up is the hair dryer test. This will be 3 feet, so that is on. I have it turned down so you don't have to hear it too much. And both devices are 3 feet away. We've got 64 and, well, we got 86 over on the app, so that's drastic as well. We turn the max on, and we max at 64.5, while the other one is at 86, so that doesn't make any sense. And you'll see that ours is 67, and this is going up to 80 over and over again, so not very consistent there. Let's try the blender. This is super loud. And here we go, 3 feet away. Let's see what we got. 77 is sticking around there, but the meter shows 80. This maxed out at 80, and ours has also maxed out at 80, so that's an exact match for the max out. Now let's see what happens if we turn off the max. So now it's at 75, 76, and 77 for the app. So very good, very close. Next up is our vacuum cleaner. And let's see what we got here. 62, 61. Those are almost identical. 60, 61 on the app. Max out at 65 on the app. That's very close. I like those results. Now we get to test my favorite thing to test, and that is my drum set. Now this is an electric drum set, but I do have it plugged into an amplifier with a lot of heavy bass. So it will be very loud for these devices. So let's test it out. And it looks like we're getting a 95 on the phone app and a 90.6 on the device. And that did max out, I believe, at 90.6 on the device. Now I switched the meter to C mode because we have such a bassy sound going on. And the app is showing 98 and the meter is showing 102.3. So that is impressive. Here are all the final results in a chart. You can see the quiet room was just half a decibel off. Normal conversation was 2 decibels. The biggest difference was the hair dryer. For some reason, that was 17 decibels. The vacuum cleaner was perfect. The blender was only 1. The bass heavy music, where we had it on A, where I was playing the drums, that was 4.4. When I switched it to C, it was only 1 difference. And the hand clap was also pretty big at 11. So based on all of our testing, I would say that this thing is perfect to have around the house to test different audio levels. I bought this primarily because I do a lot of review videos and I like to measure how loud certain devices are that I'm reviewing. But if you are looking for something where you can have a recording layout of everything, you might be better off having an app that you use or get a device that is meant to actually keep a long-term journal or log of what you're recording. But I love this thing. I think it's fantastic and I highly recommend it. If you'd like to grab one of these, there is a link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit like on the video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.